So thanks so much, Tamara. It'll be interesting to see how that tweet does and what it does on social media. Most of you will likely recognize our next keynote speaker, Gil Quiniones. Since 2011, Mr. Quiniones has served as President and Chief Executive Officer of the New York Power Authority, the nation's largest state-owned electric utility. He's responsible for developing and implementing the statewide utility's strategic vision and mission, and for supervising its operations, legal and financial matters, and relationships with external stakeholders. Under his leadership, NYPA is currently playing a key role in the governor's Reforming the Energy Vision initiative to use market forces and new technology to empower customers and encourage the growth of clean renewable energy and energy efficiency. Mr. Quiniones is co-chair of the board of directors of the Alliance to Save Energy and serves on the boards of the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, as well as the large Public Power Council. In 2015, he served as chairman of the board of directors of EPRI. Before joining NYPA in 2007 as executive vice president in energy marketing and corporate affairs, Mr. Quiniones served in several positions in the administration of New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, including more than 4 years as Senior Vice President of Energy and Telecommunications, and he previously worked for Con Edison. So he is working to make NYPA the first all-digital utility. Please welcome Mr. Gil Quiniones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gil Quiniones. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the New York Power Authority. I'm so thrilled, I'm so pumped up for being here today, and actually a little bit amazed. I've been in this industry for 28 years, yet this is my first DistribuTECH conference. The most successful, the most well-attended conference in our industry, and this is my first one. So I've been telling myself that there are probably a couple of reasons why I'm here today. One, I know for sure. The second, I want you to help me as we continue this conversation. So, the first reason why I'm here is to tell you about our journey, our aspiration, our story of becoming the first end-to-end digital utility. Now, before I tell you that story, before I launched into that journey, allow me to share a little bit about who the New York Power Authority is. Paula, you heard earlier, CPS is the largest municipally owned electric gas utility in the nation. NYPA is the largest state-owned electric utility in the United States. We own about 17 power plants. We produce 25% of all electricity in New York State, primarily from very large hydroelectric power projects, such as our Niagara Power Project, a 2,700 megawatt power plant, hydropower plant in Western New York, one of the largest in the United States. We also own a third of the high voltage transmission system in the state of New York. If you look at the power grid map of New York, we are the backbone of the system. The backbone, together with our hydroelectric power plants, really serve as the shock absorber of the system in New York State, especially as we integrate more large-scale renewables and distributed energy services. Now, a little bit more about who we are. The electrons that propel our subways in New York City, 600 miles of subway tracks, 400 miles underground, those electrons come from NYPA. The electrons that power JFK International Airport, LaGuardia International Airport, those electrons come from NYPA. The electrons that supply our largest manufacturers, process industries, industrial plants across the state, those electrons come from NYPA, low-cost electrons that spur economic development, create jobs, and catalyze capital investment. And the electrons that supply 51 smaller municipal electric utility systems and rural cooperatives, those electrons come from NYPA. Lately, the utility that sent 22 of its best engineers, what I call the MacGyvers of NYPA, to Puerto Rico, one day after Maria landed on the island, to help assess the damage in about a dozen of their largest power plants and 350 or so of their substations, and now is leading a delegation of utility workers from the United States, 500 utility workers from New York, from our various utilities, 350 bucket trucks, equipment, and tools, helping to restore power in Metro San Juan area, that New York delegation. The leader of that team, that's the New York Power Authority. So, what's happening in our industry? I submit to you there are three major forces that are disrupting our industry. One is decentralization. The existing power system of having large power plants, transmission system, distribution onto the customer, one-way power flow, that is completely being changed into bi-directional, even multi-directional power flows. The second mega trend is electrification. And to be able to decarbonize every sector of our economy, and more importantly, to radically enhance energy productivity, we have to invest, we have to move towards electrification. And that's happening across various sectors of our economy, for example, transportation. The third trend is an enabler, it's a facilitator, it's a catalyst called digitization. There has to be an intelligence layered on top of decentralization and electrification. And that intelligence, that layer, is what we're calling digitization. And that's where NYPA has been making its bet as it transforms itself. In New York, our destination is clear. We want 50% of our electricity supply sourced from renewable energy by 2030. We want to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and improve the energy efficiency of our building stock and residential stock by 23% by 2030. Very, very clear destination. And some of the most immediate actions that our governor has stated just a few weeks ago in his 2018 State of the State address are the following. We are going to issue a couple of requests for proposals over the next 2 years for 800 megawatt of offshore wind right on the coast of Long Island and New York City. So it's happening sooner than people think, and it's happening in New York. By Earth Day, we will set mandated targets for energy efficiency. And also, By 2025, we will have a goal of having 1,500 megawatt of storage, and we're going to make that happen. We're going to spur that by using $200 million of low-cost financing from the New York State Green Bank. And lastly, New York has been a member of RGGI, Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative states. If you look at the curve since 2010 to 2020, we have reduced carbon in the power sector by 30%. What we're doing from 2020 on to 2030, we are bending that curve even more by 30%. So these are concrete actions that we are going to be taking to get to the destination that we have set forth. Now, as we examine the transformation going on in New York City, there is one, and I want to share this with you because I believe that all of you here have a role to play in this goal. And this should be everybody's goal, not just New York's goal. Our goal, as we transform this industry, is to radically improve the capacity utilization of the power system and radically reduce the capital intensity at the same time of this power system. Why is that important? It's important because we want energy to be accessible to all. We want energy to be affordable. We want energy to provide opportunities for all. And this is how we get there. And so in New York, as we transform the industry and reforming the energy vision, as we think about regulatory policies, legislative actions, executive decisions, technology solutions, operational solutions, we think, and I urge all of you to think about how to achieve this goal, increasing the capacity utilization of the grid and decreasing its capital intensity. Now, at the beginning of my talk, I said that our aspiration is to become the first end-to-end digital utility. What do I mean? Well, first it has to be end-to-end. We have to digitize every aspect or every part of the value chain of the power system: generation, transmission, distribution, the edge of the grid, and the customer, inside and out. That's what we mean by end-to-end digital utility. More importantly, a digital utility places the customer at the center of the transformation. A digital utility innovates. A digital utility changes or creates new business model. And a digital utility, in the end, measures its success based on the success of its customers. At NYPA, that's what we mean by becoming an end-to-end digital utility. So, the first step that we do in this journey of becoming a digital utility is to create what we call digital twins. Digital twins of our power plants, digital twins of our substations and transmission systems, digital twins of the energy systems of our customers. What is a digital twin? Digital twin is nothing but a replica, a physical, operational, and performance replica of the asset. And we're doing that through widespread deployment of data acquisition devices and sensors, SCADA, et cetera. So let me give you 3 examples that we are doing in the Power Authority. 3 what I call digital hubs. The first one, as you see here, is called the ISOC, Integrated Smart Operations Center. This is a place where we have created digital twins of our power plants, substations, and transmission system, and we are monitoring the health of our assets real time, all the time. This is a place where we are monitoring our cybersecurity and physical security posture, real time, all the time. This is a place where we are monitoring the health of our backbone, dedicated backbone communications network that connects all our assets, and our strategic software that makes all of this work, real time, all the time. And if there's an emergency, whether it's a severe weather event or a cyber event, this ISOC automatically becomes our emergency operations center. We just built this, opened it up last December 12 in our headquarters building in White Plains. The second, contained in the ISOC, is what we're calling Agile, Advanced Grid Innovation Lab for Energy. This is a collaborative effort amongst all of the utilities in New York State, plus the New York ISO, our independent grid operator, and EPRI. Our goal is to digitize the power grid of New York State, starting with the bulk system, the generation and transmission system. When I say digitize in a very granular, dynamic, closed-loop way, so that in this Agile lab, we can actually do software-in-the-loop testing, hardware-in-the-loop testing, rapid scenario analysis, and really help the planning and operation of the grid in New York State. Maybe even develop next-generation EMS, energy management system. So that's what we have in a very, again, robust, collaborative ecosystem. The third digital hub, which is located in Albany, in the middle of our state, although has a twin in our ISOC, it's what we're calling the New York Energy Manager. This is where we are digitizing the energy systems of our customers. We now have 11,000 buildings. We've created 11,000 digital twins of our customers. And we aim to scale that up to 20,000 buildings by 2020. Currently, most of them are government buildings, all types of government buildings. And our goal is to help optimize how our customers use energy and to make those buildings as distributed energy resources to the grid. And we're really seeing so much promise from this service. What ties all of these three digital hubs that I just discussed with you is what we're calling a digital foundry. This is a space on the 8th floor of our headquarters, and it is the space where we invite trusted third-party partners, technology companies, other utilities, other grid operators, original equipment manufacturers, researchers, PhD students. We want them to come to our ISOC. We want them to access, to be able to use our platform to access our data so that they can create new apps and new products and services for their customers and for all kinds of customers. That's what we're calling our digital foundry, and it is, again, to spur an innovation ecosystem in New York. It's akin to an iPhone. We're creating the iOS platform with standard APIs, and we want trusted partners to be able to develop apps on that platform, to be able to develop new products and services for all kinds of customers. Very, very exciting, and we're hoping that when they do so, they stick around in New York, they invest in New York, they create jobs in New York. Now, you might ask, why New York? Why are you doing this in New York? Well, to us, this is about going back to our roots. Back in 1882, Thomas Edison built the first power plant in Lower Manhattan along Pearl Street. A few years later, Nikola Tesla invented the long-distance transmission of electricity from Niagara Falls to Buffalo. And so we believe about something that harkens us to our roots, to where it all began in New York. And as I'm giving this presentation, now I remember the second reason why I'm here. I'm here because all of you have a role to play in this transformation. You know, most of the action, most of the transformation is happening at the edge of the power grid. So DistribuTECH, just that word, distribution technology, the distribution system, the customer, that's where the action is happening. And each one of you have a role to play. So my call to action is to join us, to hop on this journey, and together we should transform this greatest invention in the past century we call the power grid into the integrated energy network of the future for the benefit of all. Thank you very much.